everyone, and welcome to A Work of Fiction. I'm Hannah Delaney. I'm the author of The Spider and Oceanus. This is my book vlog where I talk about what I'm writing, what I'm reading, and what my thoughts are on certain books, as well as book recommendations and reviews. Now, you may have noticed I was a bit quiet last week, and there's no other reason for that. The only reason is after reading Pet Sematary, I kind of felt a bit like I couldn't read anymore. Yeah, so that's done with, and I struggled to get into a few books, and as part of this kind of one book a week thing that I'm doing, I have to not read out of obligation. Just read things that I want to read and read things that are interesting. And if it's not holding my attention, I don't have to read it. So, you know, I was going through a few books and I was like, oh, this one's not really doing it for me. This one's not sticking. And out of sheer curiosity, I decided I was going to read Hannibal. Because, as you might already know, I've previously read Silence of the Lambs, then I read Red Dragon, and curiosity, I just thought I need to read Hannibal, see a bit more of Clarice, see a bit more of Hannibal Lecter. I was warned not to read Hannibal, and I should have listened, is my overall opinion. I had to DNF Hannibal at 78%. So I did put up with a lot more than others have. Reading Hannibal, it kind of felt like sliding down a slide, and at the bottom of the slide was a pit of sludge. I knew it was there, I'd been told it was there, but I went down the slide, and about 2/3 in, I thought, don't like where this is going. So I did that thing where you try and turn around and climb up the slide, but obviously you can't. So I just closed my eyes and fell into the sludge pit, determining not to look and not to find out. It wasn't anything specific that happened that made me think I don't want to read it anymore. I just wasn't feeling it. I just thought, this isn't going where I want it to go. I'm not liking the way this is going. Now, I've seen the film, so I suppose I got a sense that it wasn't going the same way as the film, and that's fine. That's not usually a reason to put the book down, but it still made me think, oh, I don't know, I don't like where this is going. We have obviously the misogyny in the FBI. We have them suggesting Clarice has only got where she has because she slept her way up, you know, that old chestnut. But I just didn't like how it was going. I just wasn't feeling it. And it got to about 70% or so, and I thought, well, I'll stick with it just for like Mason Verger's subplot, because that was quite interesting. But at the same time, I think that dragged a little bit as well. It just felt very drawn out. So I stuck with Mason Verger for a bit, but even Mason wasn't enough to keep me going. I think fundamentally, Hannibal was not an interesting enough fugitive. Frances Dolarhyde and Jane Gunn, from the other two books that I mentioned, very interesting, complex characters. They evoke a lot of sympathy from the reader. I just didn't feel that with Hannibal. I didn't, like, yes, he is dangerous. Yes, he is wanted by the FBI. But this is like the bad baddie, you know, he's the king of the baddies, and it felt a bit weird hunting him down. And he's in Florence, and there's loads about Florence, and there were bits that made me think, did Thomas Haddis just go to Florence and have a great time and feel really inspired by everything around him? He just felt he had to get it in the book. Because the Patsy stuff I actually thought was really good. I liked the way Patsy was introduced. I liked Patsy's moral crises and his heads, you know. I loved the bit where Patsy has the Romany girl to help him out with his mission to get Hannibal's handprint or fingerprint. And also there was a lot of conflicting morals there, because he thought, well, do I want to endanger her? Do I want to endanger her child because this lady has a baby? And he's not as much of a gobshite as he seems in the film. So I liked Patsy in that, and how he was doing it for interesting reasons. He could have just handed Hannibal in to the FBI, but there was no reward for that, and he felt he had been completely cold-shouldered by his team anyway, because he had caught a serial killer, and it turns out this might not be the guy, and all of Patsy's reputation and fame and public backing had suddenly completely dissipated. So I think he kind of felt, well, I've already fallen from grace. I've got nothing to lose. And he had been rejected so much by the authorities that he kind of felt, well, what would be the point? Because someone else will just take the credit for it. Whereas on the other hand, Mason is offering him $3 million, and he doesn't even have to kill Hannibal. He just has to, let Mason catch him. So I thought the reasoning behind that was quite good. I liked Patsy, I liked Clarice, and then we got about halfway and I thought, what's going on here? I don't like how this is going. Please prove me wrong. Yeah, it didn't happen. So yeah, I had to do not finish Hannibal, and I was surprised by that because I really loved Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. I found out what happens at the end of Hannibal in the book, and what that's about, I don't know. Didn't see that coming. And it's not like where there's a big twist in it and you go, oh yeah, you've been telling us all along, we just didn't want to see it. Not like that. No. I just thought, no, why would you do that? Why would you build a character like Clarice up like that? Clarice, who is not a Mary Sue, Clarice has worked her way up there. She's worked against all the misogyny, all those judgmental people who judge her for her class, where she comes from, who her family are, how she grew up. And then to just write it off like that, no. Abysmal. So yeah, I can't even bring myself to leave a review. Nope, not doing it. So yeah, other things I've been reading this week. I've gone back to my Angela Carter collection. I just love that. It's like a comfort food collection. I was reading Lady of the House of Love. That's one of my favourites. It's from her The Bloody Chamber series, so it's a retelling of, it's a bit of Sleeping Beauty, I suppose. Excellent writing. Also another one, oh god, I can't remember now. She talks about this explorer. I'm gonna find it now because it's so good. Angela Carter, list of stories in Burning Your Boats, because it's really bloody good. So burning your boats. Burning your goats. No, burning your boats. I will find it. Bear with me. I found it. Master by Angela Carter. So I have the Burning Your Boats book, and I come back to this all the time. I just love this collection. And if I'm not feeling it, like with some writing, I'll just read some Angela Carter, and all of a sudden I will feel better. So it's Master, and oh, it's so good. It's like it's almost like a little spin on Robinson Crusoe, but far more violent, and about hunting and the well, I want to say everything is the folly of men, but it's about a hunter, a predator, and how he is basically exerting his dominance in the forest, in the jungle, hunting predators, and the indigenous girl that he takes with him to, you know, show him around the guides. She takes her place in the forest. So I won't go into spoilers or anything, but it's basically nature's answer to a force of destruction, and it was really good. But yeah, and I've read all of the Bloody Chamber, but every now and then I just come back and I'm like, right, come on, let's find another Angela Carter story to read, because they are always good. So yeah, Angela Carter, Master, check it out, it's really good. And The Lady of the House of Love, I love that story, it's my favourite one in the Bloody Chamber. So yeah, if you haven't heard of Angela Carter, discover Angela Carter now. So yeah, that is what I've been reading. I did not finish Hannibal. The rule is, if I am to stick to this one book a week, I can't force myself to read things that I'm not feeling. I have to read something that is interesting and holds my attention. That is the rule. You do not have to read books that you are not really feeling it with. And that is that. So I'm currently reading Picnic at Hanging Rock as well, as a buddy read. But that so far has been really refreshing. And I'm interested to see where it goes. It's a mystery about these schoolgirls who basically go missing at a place called Hanging Rock in Australia. I'm currently loving the crossover between Australian and English culture. Now obviously there's different class elements there as well. You'd have like a wealthy Englishman who's in it, but the guy who works for him is an Australian, because he's grown up there, and it's a complete clash of worlds. And some of the descriptions just had me laughing out loud, like, as plain as a frog. I haven't heard the phrase plain for ages. But yeah, it's an interesting read, and I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts on that one next week. As for the newsletter, how things are going, I have announced the giveaway winners for my publication, A Work of Fiction. You can check out more about that in the description. But next week there's another giveaway that started today for the Midnight Vault. So that is a collection of 29 short stories by a group of authors, including myself. And those stories are inspired by the Twilight Zone. So if you like that kind of thing, there is a Goodreads giveaway live at the moment. I'll put the link in for that. But also, if you subscribe to my newsletter, you can enter into the draw to either win a paperback or an ebook. And you can find out more details about that below. But that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me, and let me know in the comments what you're reading at the moment.